Welcome to today's webinar on communication and collaboration. We'll spend the next 60 minutes discussing these topics in the context of community organizations. We'll be sharing strategies, some best practices, and some practical tips that can help you strengthen your communication and enhance collaboration amongst the shareholders that you interact with now or that you may interact with in the future. So, and I would go on here to talk about a few housekeeping items, what we've talked about already and what's coming up. Okay, so now it won't.
Slides aren't moving. So
sorry, we're just stuck here with the slide won't move. Okay, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, we've just got a minor technical hitch here, and our expert has left. Get this off here. Let me just go back on here. Got it. Okay, got it. Okay, so our presenters today are just myself, James Roy. And our agenda, we're just going to set the stage. We'll talk about why collaboration is important. We'll be identifying different types of collaboration, and we're looking at the obstacles to collaboration, and we're looking at what we need to make collaboration work, and then we'll do a brief wrap-up. So, here's a brief recap of the objectives. These are the objectives of OCASI, and I'm not going to get into a lot of detail right now. I will go into a little bit more on the day. Okay. Now we're going to talk about setting the stage. These are the organizational standards, initiatives, indicators for communication and collaboration, again, of OCASI. Again, I'm not going to give a lot of detail on these, because we'll be able to do that more when we have a real audience. So you know these, I expect. And finally, I'll encourage people to think about the areas that you and your organization are excelling in and which ones you need to improve on. So, part one, does your organization take a collaborative approach to other organizations to best serve immigrants and refugees? So, some whats and whys of collaboration. So, collaboration is a mutually beneficial and well-defined relationship entered into by two or more organizations to achieve results they are more likely to achieve together than alone. Let's take a few minutes to discuss the first indicator and consider a definition of collaboration. It's more than just a working group. Collaboration implies that the stakeholders are coming together from different places to accomplish something more significant collectively than what they would be able to accomplish individually. So by sharing information and exchanging experiences or partnering with other organizations, you have an opportunity to share challenges, resources, and best practices, and to benefit from respective points of view. Organizations like ours work mostly alone. We work in isolation from each other, except at the highest levels, like during policy discussions. We don't get to know what's happening on the front line at the program level in similar organizations unless we make a concrete effort to ask each other and find out. When we do, and we share information and experiences, it makes both partners better. When we partner with other organizations, it gives us an opportunity to talk about the challenges we face, and usually we find out that we share some of the same struggles and joys. It also provides an opportunity to share the best practices we've developed to deal with the ups and downs of our environment. Through collaboration, we have the opportunity to learn from each other to overcome working alone with our clients. When we collaborate, we help our agency find out we're part of a system of organizations, services, programs, and networks that assist immigrants and refugees settle into our communities. Collaboration equals effective change. By working together, we can manage change and successfully navigate through difficult times. So let's go on and look at some types of collaboration. So within community organizations, there are multiple opportunities to collaborate, as there's often a shared vision, resources, and a client base. There are many similarities, more similarities than differences, in fact, with our organizations. You might share a vision. You likely share some resources, or at least seek your financial resources from the same places. You might have overlapping client bases. All of these make it easier and simpler to collaborate. Now let's look at some reasons for collaboration. In our sector, collaboration can be leveraged in two contexts: a collaboration to integrate services or a collaboration to resolve complex issues. Let's look at integrating services. We do this for more effective, responsive, and clients-focused delivery. In this instance, the benefits of collaboration include increased accountability, credibility, efficient and effective quality, comprehensive service delivery at a grander scale that may expand into more geographic areas. Resolving complex issues. There may be multiple approaches to address community issues that cannot be achieved without coming together and addressing broad and systemic changes. This can include collaborating to share information and establish a strong, united voice to advocate for positive changes in the immigrant and refugee sector, be it with policies or programs. So, some types of collaboration. Networking is the exchanging of information for mutual benefit. Don't know how to start? Why not take a counterpart in another organization out to coffee or lunch? Don't just do it because you have an idea to sell them. Do it genuinely to find out what they are doing. Listen to what they have to say, and they will, most likely, listen in return. You don't have to wait for a shared problem to crop up. And if you get to know others when things are relaxed, it's quick and much easier to connect when there's an issue. Information sharing. Share information that comes to you and may not be coming to them. For example, say a contact at one of your funding sources gives you a heads up on what's coming in the next granting cycle. Don't hoard the information hoping you'll have an edge. Far better to share it with other organizations that you know might be affected. Maybe someone else has a good idea about facing the change. Or maybe you organize a combined response to the funder, if that's appropriate. There is often power in numbers and ideas, but you need to be open to sharing before you can reap the benefits. So, innovative conversations. Collaborations are usually loosely structured, highly adaptive, inherently creative. By creating spaces where connections are made, ideas are cross-fertilized, and collective knowledge is developed, collaborative teams generate rich opportunities for innovation. When the right people are brought together in constructive ways and with the appropriate information, they are able to create powerful visions and robust strategies for change. Is there an opportunity to brainstorm together, to think outside the box, or even get out of your traditional office setting? Come up with innovative, creative ideas to solve a problem or think about a process. So, cooperation. This is short-term informal relationships between organizations that exist without any clearly defined mission, structure, or planning effort. Information is shared only about the subject at hand, and resources are kept separate. Authority is retained by each organization, and there's virtually no risk to anyone. Coordination is more complex. It's characterized by the sharing of some resources. Interaction is usually longer term, often focused around a specific task or a grant or a program. Some planning and division of roles is required, and enough information is shared about the participants to enable cooperation. Authority still rests primarily with the individual organizations, but there's increased risk to all participants. Nearly all the partnerships in government are coordinated partnerships. So, collaboration is an effort to change the way organizations work together. Collaboration results in systems change. Collaboration implies a more durable and a pervasive relationship. There's a common mission to achieve something greater than a single project or task. Such relationships require comprehensive planning and greater, and sometimes unequal, sharing of resources and power. Authority is determined by the collaborative structure, and risk is much greater because each partner is contributing its resources and reputation. Each agency in collaboration should involve many of its staff in the partnership, including administrators, program managers, and direct service staff. Collaborations can be formal, they can be grant-related or contractual, or informal, but they need to be necessary to your program's success. Collaboration is mutually beneficial, and it's a well-defined relationship of two or more organizations which enables the development or enhancement of a service or product that cannot be created alone. True collaboration is sorting out the complex issues that relate to settlement services and finding permanent solutions. Not programs, not projects, but real, permanent solutions. So how does collaboration best serve newcomers? The greatest payback of collaboration is interdependence. The benefits can be substantial as pressures on our agencies increase. reduced money, increasingly higher expectations, just to mention a couple. Collaboration may be one of the best options for staying ahead of the curve. So what can we gain? Well, first of all, it's increased accountability, responsiveness, and credibility. We also need each other for our clients' sake, so we can be more responsive, more comprehensive, relevant, and effective in our services. The skills, knowledge, and information gained through collaboration will strengthen and bring credibility to our programs. We'll see less duplication in services, but with a higher impact for the community than if the agency tries to tackle the effort on its own. Through collaboration, any one agency can build its capacity to deliver more of what clients need through economies of scale, pooled resources, leveraging strengths of an individual team or an individual or team. In this sense, complex issues involving more than just your agency's focus can also be addressed. A reduced risk. You have the opportunity in a collaboration to learn from the mistakes of others, and also together it's often easier to identify common mistakes and risks. Increase program capacity, efficiency, and leadership. Increased chances for funding. Collaboration can be an opportunity to gain more financial resources. Sharing information about funding can benefit both parties. That's probably fairly obvious. Can you go further, though, and do a combined application for program funding that might be delivered jointly with each organization contributing part of the expertise? It becomes more likely, too, that these dollars will result in a better outcome for the community. When clients, in all their complexity, enter our agency, we need to know who to call on to provide a full range of services. When it comes to exploring funding options, thinking of ways to collaborate is essential, especially as we see government funding becoming more short-term and project-based or just less funding. Some of us know firsthand how any kind of budget challenge may force us to retract and focus solely on our core mission and programs. Effective information sharing and advocacy. In the same vein, sharing information puts parties in a stronger position to pursue advocacy when it's necessary. Innovation to meet complex newcomer needs. We've already talked about thinking outside the box and thinking outside the box together. Newcomer needs span both the short and the long term, from adjustment and adaptation to potential integration. Sometimes our clients take big leaps, others take smaller steps. With some of these steps progressive and at times regressive. One agency's one-size-fits-all approach can't address the complexity inherent in ongoing settlement. Strengthening brand and client experience. Internal deficiencies can often be seen and felt externally. If your program improves as a result of collaborating, your clients are the ones who really gain. Improved employee and volunteer morale. People enjoy working in a collaborative environment. All of these collaboration outcomes bring long-term value for employees, for donors, and for the broader stakeholder community. Finding effective ways to work together will benefit everyone. So, some standard indicators of collaboration. So, your agency nurtures your relationship with the community, and your agency promotes the interests of the community. And I'm just going to truncate some of this. We'd go into more detail here, but I think this is probably something you know. So I'm just going to move on briefly to look at community engagement. This is defined by the World Health Organization as a process by which people are enabled to become actively and genuinely involved in defining the issues of concern to them, in making decisions about factors that affect their lives, in formulating and implementing policies, in planning, developing, and delivering services, and in taking action to active change. So, do you have your ear to the ground? Are you aware of the current issues and trends impacting your community? Do the people impacted by your services participate in your board or committees? And do your programs have advisory committees? Are they engaged at every stage of your process? Actively engaging newcomers will ensure that you stay on top of their needs and take action together as a community. When we collaborate and work closely together, we build trust in the community. Relationship building is key in our shared efforts to effectively meet the needs of newcomers in our communities. So there's some more standard indicators here that will be used to judge your collaboration. I think you probably know them: client-centric, empowering, holistic, accessible, equitable and respectful, and accountable. And ordinarily we would go into more detail on each of these, but not today. So some more on standard indicators. So consider how your agency takes a collaborative approach, how it participates in networks and shares resources, expertise, leadership, talent, and power in other organizations. Consider whether your partnerships address shared systems change. Are they permanent ways to help effectively address or improve settlement services for immigrants and refugees? And again, I go into a little bit more detail there. So some obstacles to collaboration. And I'm just going to run through these without going into a longer explanation. But some obstacles are that the context is territorial, competitive, and historically so. That we're unfamiliar with the approach or concept. There are competing priorities or roles and responsibilities. And we're unfamiliar with how to begin and with whom to engage. And finally, a number of others which can crop up in many situations: duplication of efforts, lack of coordination, inconsistent quality standards, inaccurate reporting, and inconsistent brand messaging and overall communication. And then think of a time when you had positive experience collaborating with someone. How did you contribute to this? Now, at this point, we have, which we're not set up to do, I don't believe, we have a participant poll to get a sense on what kinds of hesitation characterize our audience. And we do that and then feedback to our listeners on what that is. So making the collaboration work. Again, we've looked at two areas, and I'm not going to go into the full detail here, but getting started, starting with small steps, pick up the phone and talk to somebody, talk to others who've been successful with collaborations in the past to get a sense of how it worked and how they got started. Think about potential partners and write out an action plan beforehand that makes it easier to carry on with it. And then you just go ahead and do it. And then we've got some suggestions on sustaining a collaboration once it's begun, having a project plan, doing a partnership agreement, setting up an advisory committee, determining standard quality guidelines and reporting and evaluation mechanisms, and making sure these are agreed on by all parties. The importance of maintaining effective communication within the partnership, and finally, communicating your successes. Are you doing that? Your initiative and program has a better chance of receiving public support and funding when everyone is aware of the benefits and the positive impact it's had on the community. So finally, we have a wrap-up, and we'll go through each of these points. We'd ordinarily go through each of these points in detail, but this is a recap of what we've done. And there you are. And we end with a quote that you don't just collaborate easily. That's what it says. And finally, we'd go on to part two, which is communication, which we're not doing. And then there's questions. And then we have this is just housekeeping. It's not actually part of the, this is just questions back and forth. It's not actually part of the presentation. And that's it. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.